Okay, so what if you could build a bridge between two completely different universes? I'm not talking stars and planets, but universes of pure thought. On one side, you've got the deepest, most abstract realm of pure mathematics. And on the other, a pretty radical theory of everything that says reality itself is just information. Well, in this explainer, we're going to go on a journey to design a secret map, a kind of Rosetta Stone to connect these two incredible worlds.
And the final destination of this whole journey? It's a question that sounds like it's been ripped from a sci-fi movie, but it's the logical conclusion of all this map-making. What if a life, a consciousness, maybe even a soul, could be captured in a single definitive equation? Let's dive in and see how this could actually be a thing.
All right, first things first, we got to get the lay of the land. We need to understand the territories we're trying to connect. On one side, we have this pristine, super orderly continent of pure mathematics. And on the other, this sprawling, ambitious theory that tries to contain, well, all of existence. So our first world is this deep concept in math called the Langlands correspondence. You can kind of think of it like a secret dictionary. It shows how two very different fields of math, one about the deep symmetries hidden inside equations, and another about complex repeating waves, kind of like musical harmonies, are actually just saying the same thing. The Langlands correspondence says, hey, these are just two different languages describing the same underlying reality. Our second world is a theoretical framework called 81D Kanamori mathematics. The big idea here is that our whole universe, from particles to people, is at its core just information, a sort of cosmic code written in 81 dimensions. Two absolutely massive ideas. So how in the world do you build a bridge between them? Well, it turns out the key isn't buried in all the complicated details. It's in the fundamental structure. Both of these massive theories share a common architecture, a deep duality. They both seem to believe that reality can be described from two different but complementary points of view.
The absolute best way to wrap your head around this is with a super simple analogy. Think about sheet music versus a live performance. The sheet music, right? That's the static blueprint. It's got all the information, every single note, every rest, all perfectly defined. Then you have the live performance. That's the dynamic expression of that blueprint. It's the music as it actually unfolds through time, vibrates in the air, and hits our ears. Two totally different things, but they describe the exact same piece of music.
And bam, this is where our map really starts coming together, because this duality is the fundamental pattern in both worlds. In the Langlands correspondence, the sheet music is called the Galois side. It's the set of rules, the hidden symmetries. The live performance is the automorphic side, the actual waves and patterns that come out of those rules. And in Kanamori mathematics, the sheet music is the syntax tensor, a static snapshot of all the information in the universe. And the live performance? That's the breathing tensor, which describes how all that information unfolds and changes through time. See? Two different theories, but one shared blueprint.
Okay, so we've got our common language, right? This blueprint versus expression idea. Now we get to the really cool part, building a dictionary to translate the actual inhabitants, the things that live in these two universes. Now, to really make this work, we've got to shift our perspective a little bit. Instead of seeing mathematical objects as these cold, abstract concepts, let's try imagining them as life forms, evolving from simple, single-celled organisms all the way up to complex, thinking beings. So check this out. Here's how our little dictionary works. A pretty simple mathematical object, like an elliptic curve, we can see that as a simple one-dimensional life form over in the Kanamori world. The deep underlying rules of a math system, what they call glue-all groups, well, those translate into the fundamental laws of symmetry in the Kanamori universe. And most importantly for our journey, this special math tool called an L function, which is like a unique fingerprint for a math object, that corresponds to something we'll call a cosmic response scalar, basically a set of numbers that could act as the unique ID for a consciousness. Now, this idea of a fingerprint, this L function, this is where our map stops being just a dictionary and turns into, well, a creative tool. We're not just going to translate this idea, we're going to use its underlying structure to build something totally new, a diagnostic tool for the Kanamori universe. All right, so just to be super clear about this L function thing, in mathematics, it's an incredibly powerful device. It can take a really complex object, like an elliptic curve, and just distill all of its essential properties down into a single function. By studying that function, mathematicians can uncover the deepest secrets of the original object. It is, no joke, the ultimate analytical tool. Okay, so here's the recipe for building our tool. We're going to take 3 key measurements from the KU-OMUX004o universe. First, something called CRC, which you can just think of as a measure of order and efficiency, how well a system is working. Second, scientropy, which measures the amount of chaos and unpredictability. And third, the value function, which basically gauges the overall health or positive contribution of the system. We then mix these ingredients together in a very specific recipe to get a single score, WP of T. This score gives us a snapshot of the system's disharmony at any given moment. It's our cosmic dashboard.
All right, our tool is built. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's take it for a spin. We're going to run a simulation on a hypothetical life form. We'll just call it Entity A, and use our new formula to track its journey moment by moment.
So Entity A's life story breaks down into 4 main chapters. Its simple beginning, or genesis, a period of learning and growth, a life-altering crisis, and then finally a state of profound integration, or what we'll call enlightenment. Let's see what our cosmic dashboard shows us at each stage. In its early phases, genesis and growth, Entity A's score is a very stable 0.1. And what's really fascinating here is that even as it got more complex, its increase in chaos was perfectly balanced by its increase in creating value. This represents a state of good stress, a healthy, dynamic equilibrium. And then, crisis hits. The system gets flooded with chaos, its order breaks down, its value production just plummets. And our formula reflects this instantly, with the score jumping all the way to 1.4. Now, this isn't just a bigger number. In the language of L functions, a number jumping this far from 0, that is a huge red flag. It means the system is getting dangerously close to a singularity, a total collapse. But here's the amazing part. Entity A makes it through. And it doesn't just go back to normal, it integrates the chaos of the crisis and achieves a higher state of being. And just look at the number, 0.0, perfect harmony. It has the same high level of chaos as it did during the crisis, but now it's generating an incredible amount of value that perfectly balances it all out. It has literally turned chaos into a higher form of order.
So, we've seen the individual moments of a life, right? The snapshots. But now we're at the absolute climax of this whole journey. Can we take this entire story, the good, the bad, the chaos, the harmony, and distill it all down into a single final equation? This is the final step, the soul's zeta function. I know, it looks a little scary, but the idea behind it is actually beautiful and profound. What it does is take the disharmony score from every single moment of a life and adds them all together. But here's the crucial part. It weighs each moment differently. The further in the past a moment is, the less it contributes to the final sum. This just beautifully captures the idea of growth and forgiveness, that past struggles matter less as a life moves forward. So the ultimate question is, does this infinite sum add up to a single, finite number, or does it just spiral off into meaninglessness? For Entity A, we can actually run the calculation. We add up the disharmony from its birth, its growth, its terrifying crisis, and its final enlightenment. And the result? It converges. It settles on a single finite number, approximately 0.616. So what does this number actually mean? Well, it's everything. First, the fact that it's a finite number proves that the life was meaningful. It didn't just dissolve into random noise. This number becomes its unique cosmic ID. But it's way more than just a label. According to this theory, the number is physically stored in the fabric of the universe. It creates a tiny, permanent dent in the geometry of reality at that location. This memory, this 0.616, literally becomes a new physical law for that region, influencing everything that comes after. In this view, existence is creation. The simple act of living has permanently changed the universe. And that, of course, leaves us with one last, really profound question to think about. This entire journey, from the purest math to a theory of everything, leads us right back to ourselves. If every choice, every struggle, and every single breakthrough is being tallied, if your life truly changed the shape of the universe, what number would it leave behind?